So in this video, I'm gonna refer to my own story of what was my experience in multi-level marketing. Um, of course, there was quite some time ago that I had my encounter in multi-level marketing, specifically the program Amway program, which is very well known because it's um, one of the main networking marketing in the world. I mean, they have expanded it over the years, of course, through all Latin America, Asia, Europe, Africa. I mean, you name the continents, and they're there. But my own experience, I'm trying to relate this because of the issue of having free time. How this was advertised as something like a part-time gig or something that you only do on your free time. And if you're of course in your retirement at this moment, I mean, you enjoy your retirement or nearby, approaching your retirement ages, that could have been, that you are very much a good target for recruitment of these kind of enterprises and businesses. um, Back then, I'm referring almost over 25 years ago, I would say, in which I was still in college. I want to, starting in college as a college student. And uh, the way I, found out about this company Amway is that one of my classmates was the recruiter basically. This was in Central Virginia in the United States, and one of those college towns. There are many college towns in Virginia. One of those, um, of course, Virginia doesn't have the state of Virginia doesn't have huge towns like huge like cities like New York or Chicago, Illinois, Miami, Florida. Atlanta, Georgia, or Houston, Texas. Very much the capital city, Richmond, is not even a huge, very much a big city, but I would say it's like a medium-sized city. It's surrounded by all kinds of college towns in what it's called Central Virginia. One of those college towns I used to started my own studies, my career, and I was of course staying at a college dorm. I was working part time with doing with scholarship from the university, and then it happens that one of those days I was still a sophomore, I think, in college, as I recall. I was, one of my classmates referred to me as, if I was interested to go to a meeting about. Then I was, wondering what kind of meeting was that. I was not even, I was broke basically, almost broke. I mean, doing minimum wage as a part time, working as a, at the university. I mean, the cleaning crew of the university, cleaning the grounds of the university buildings. So it was just for like 4 or 5 hours a day that I was working. Very much part time. I was almost, completely almost. I had some pocket money with that kind of money. I mean, to be able to afford like my only basic expenses. So basically, this classmate says, he was a good fellow, almost he was a classmate, but not like a close friend. He said, if I didn't go out on weekends because of that much. So why if he says to me, if I don't have nothing to do this following weekend, not to go, to a free business meeting. He says, well, I don't know. I mean, I say, I'm not a business kind of type, person at the time, but why not? I mean, if it's free, I'll go and listen to it. I mean, to learn something new always, And I didn't have no plans for that Saturday. Of course, they do it on Saturday in a college town because uh, weekdays is impossible for any college student to attend. So, okay, Saturday, why not? I had nothing to lose and nothing to win either. I mean, just to make it like a social. Just I didn't think anything serious. He didn't want to give me any details about. Oh, you might be interested. This is I mean, eventually, if you learn something new, as a student, you're always open to learn new things, and maybe this could become a career pathway for you. He says to me, "Well, I don't know about that, but I haven't chosen my major yet, my field of study yet. But I was starting, I was still in sophomore, trying to decide what path to take, right? But then I went, once I got to, get to the place where, at a rented location, like, well, he offered me to take it. I didn't have even a car, transportation of my own, but he offered me to take me in his car. So I went. I said, do I have to pay anything? I mean, when we approached the entrance, some lady was there, like in a way with some brochures at the very entrance at the table, greeting. There was a couple of more people greeting with a business suit, a couple of gentlemen, and there was a lady with brochures in her hands, and it seemed to be collecting some money from at the door, but apparently not myself being just a guest, like I invited for the first time. I wasn't required to pay anything for to be in that meeting. They had me if they told me they have to pay something like a fee, like getting to a movie or something, or getting to a place where I have to pay $20 or $15, and that was too much for me at that time. So I didn't want to be involved in anything, expenses, extra expenses. But he said, no, no, it's just free for you because you are a guest today. I mean, you're the invited person. I invited you. So the person, my classmate who did invite me, he did, some left some money there. I mean, he left his on field. It was 15 or 20, I can't recall exactly, but it wasn't that much either. But he says to me, well, that's, to pay, of course, this is a business, we have a business, like a business meeting. So all members pay, I wasn't a member yet, so I didn't have to pay anything. But he says to me that he would pay for his attendance, right? But he, of course, not me. I mean, I didn't have to pay. That's for my first visit to my first meeting in a way. So I went in, and then I look around. Of course, as a stranger for the first time. So what kind of I didn't know anybody. I said I want to go to a place where I'm not gonna be like if I don't know anybody else. I mean on the place people gathering. I mean I'm total strangers, of course. But on their way to the place on the car, I said, look, I'm just curious what it's all about. Can you tell me a little bit more about the whole if it's a business, what kind of business is it? As he says, no, he said, don't worry, it's about like a multi network marketing. He didn't say multi-level marketing, like network marketing. I said, well, he knew that I wasn't like a marketing student or business, not even a business student. But he said, you maybe, if you can just listen to it, if you might be interested. If not, it's okay, no pressure. I mean, no, sure, guys. And he says to me, oh, by the way, such and such, some other classmates are gonna be there too from other courses, and because we took, he was in my biology class, as I recall, but other fellows he did mention that they're in there too. So don't feel bad, he says to me. Don't feel like a total stranger in a place. So in a place like that, because he mentioned to me a few more classmates that are going to be there. Okay, so sure, why not? Okay, well, we went there. I'm on the car anyway. I'm on my way to with him, and then as we enter the room, of course, there was a platform where like a table for the speakers, and where the speaker with plenty of lighting, some ladies and gentlemen, almost everyone with wearing a business suit. Of course, in that college, there was a requirement for us to wear a tie. Not necessarily every day wearing a suit, but it was recommended to wear a suit. At least part of the time in that college. But I think it was Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays that you should definitely wear a suit. But some of them other days were very much just a tie, but very formal. So he asked me, sure, yeah. I mean, do I have to? I did ask him how I was supposed to wear to get to a business meet. Look, it's okay if you just go with the tie. It's okay, but if you have one of those business suits and a formal tie, you can wear it. So even we discussed that even before I arrived, but I made the decision not to wear like a suit, a complete piece, a complete tie, but just with my tie. So, but when I get that, I was one of the just few people there that was not wearing business suit. But so everybody else was, wearing business and wearing very much formal suits. So that was a little, surprise to me, but it was okay. I said, well, why not, So, but once we got there, okay, so sat there, met a few other people that were there. He introduced me to, what he says was his upline, right? because he was like a direct distributor. He was not even in the business for like a year or so. He said he's not even a year, but his upline, of course, was um, been there in the business for over 3 years, like 3 or 4 years, close to 4 years. He said between 3 and 4 years, but close to four. That he says, well, he's doing very well. He's driving a nice car. He's even paying, of course. The other, the upline was another student also. So remember, this is a college town in which plenty of university. Basically the main employer was the universities. The main employer. That there weren't that many like factories or very much other big time technology businesses or anything. But that was years ago. Even before online business was like a booming. I mean, a little bit before that. But anyway, so we went there, and a speaker started doing the whole presentation of the program, and what was everything about it. And so I said, well, he started putting like a round circle at the board there, and explaining how you are the one in the center, he says, and then if you talk to like 10 different people, so those 10 people are going to talk to other 10 people, and all those people, if they start selling or consuming or using that product that the Amway product that they're selling, and that of course you're going to be making, the speakers said that, making some profit out of it, like a percentage of each one of the person you talk to, or you have on your downline listing of people you convinced to go to these meetings, and do the same thing I'm doing, like I would be doing in the future. So there it was, and then plenty of free time. That's plenty of free time for people who have really weekends off. Like I have weekends off, but I have plenty of research, college work to do. But still, I say, well, if this thing is a once a week meeting, they were doing a weekly meeting, so why not doing it? I can come to the meetings, of course. And if they said, they were the speaker were explaining that these products are just products that you use in a daily basis, like soap. I mean, we take showers every day. He said, of course. They asked the question, raise your hands. How many people take showers every day? Well, I did raise my hand. Of course I did. And then on and on. How many people use this shampoos every day? Yes, I did. I was raising my hands again. Shampoo again. So he started naming like even like chocolate bars and on, and different like deodorant, spray, and different products, even towels and things like that of course we use every day. So why not? Okay, so I was doing all the part-time job. I still have I had some pocket money to spend, of course, that I was spending at supermarkets and different little shopping. Instead of talking about changing the habits, I could do that. So if I can change my own habit and make some little extra money, if I could do it and save some money and have other people, do the same, and I can even make profit if they spend some, on their own, on their own expenses. If I can get 10 people and those 10 people recruit other 10 people, and what about eventually 100 people or 150 or 200 people doing the same, that would be my downlines, people doing what I'm doing. So all the thing was, do what I'm doing, he says, my upline, the guy who invited me, my classmate. So as long as you get to talk to on the phone with other people, classmates, another classmates, people who in the community, family members. I didn't have that many family members in that community, and not even in the area. But I know a few people in that city, of course. So people at church, at this, anywhere socially, people you have to like give them a call, invite them to the meeting. So I did start it yes, I was kind of convinced a little bit, because why not? I'll give it a try for a couple of for who knows, a month or so, to see what happens. As long as I don't have to do too much expenses, because I didn't have that money. But all my the classmates and people I knew at the college, and by the way, before I continue with that, one of my professors was there too also. So that gave me more credibility of, look at my professor who's, is here. I mean, so I was surprised. Oh, I did approach him, with all respect to my professor. How are you? I didn't know you were here. I said, I didn't know you were in this business too. I had no clue. Oh, I never mentioned, but here I am. And welcome to the business. Welcome to this, to the club. He said, to the club? Yeah, the business. This is, one of the fastest growing business in the community in the United States. He said, why not? I mean, that gave me more credibility of why I was there. So to be able to make a decision. So I thought about it, and then um, so he almost says about the confidence. Oh, by the way, you can do this at any age. He was teaching part time at the university. He was almost retired, but he was. Look, I'm retired. That's one of the reasons that I mentioned. I do this video because in retirement, or you're approaching retirement, then you have plenty more time to, plenty of more time in your hands to spare. Uh, and then why not, like if you have received small pension, right? I mean, you say social security pension is kind of under $1,000 or so. That could be an option, That's why I'm making this video. But now time has changed. I mean, people, of course, if you are in the corporate world and you retire, if you were a school teacher, for instance, like my professor was a school teacher, but there was an extra gig or something that they call it passive income, that you don't have your retirement, you enjoy retirement, you don't have to little work. So they didn't paint this as a real work, in which eventually I had to like say, wow, okay, if I don't have to, who wants to work? I mean, nobody wants to, right? But if something that you can make little effort, but doesn't feel like work, then why not try this one? Okay. So I saw a few even in that whole room, it was around maybe 80 to 90 people. Some of the marketing students, they introduced themselves as a marketing student, business students. Some of them weren't business students. Even there was a couple of them were athletes, in the football team, in the college football that were there. I said, wow, I recognize that guy. I said, so more than half of I said a little more than half of the people in that hall were from the college, basically, and of course, the rest were from the community. So that gave a mixture of, and a hybrid, like a mixture of people, different age, people of different ages. Like, so now when I reflect at that, 25, almost a little over 25 years later, I reflect when I have my reflection on this, what could have been, But as the story went on, how about for you? I mean, if you're approaching retirement, are you willing? I mean, that's in my experience of that, on that time, it was that I was very much consumed to the idea that the more I was getting deeper into these meetings, then now I had to spend more money. That definitely was a turn off for me. That I had to spend in materials like cassettes. Yes, there were cassettes. Now the cell phones weren't that active yet. That was over 25 years ago. There were some cassette players that we used. So there was cassette player you can play on your car if you had a car, or cassette player at home. So you had to buy. Then CDs came around. CDs, like, so we had to play the CD on your own CD equipment. So like a compact disc equipment, right? So materials, like a tape materials, like video materials, like Betamax we call, and on and on. And even that in that first meeting and the follow-up meetings, they show videos in which the not the local fellow who recruited me, that was my upline, but others in the diamond level, because they have different levels. So the diamond level was like the regional like manager, or the regional salesperson, who was like a star. And of course he was received when they introduced this guy, what by the way was from, I think was from a guy from India, but I'm not, as I recall, and I can't recall exactly the name, of so many years ago, but this guy was introduced and the welcome was like a big star. I said, wow, a very young fellow, like in his early 30s. So he was the main speaker, very eloquent, very charismatic guy. And I said, wow, okay. So, and he told his story, how it started, that he was very shy. He couldn't even invite his story, right? His storyline, that he couldn't even invite a girlfriend to going out. But then he became very, outspoken than them. Then the video they show, right, was video. It was he was a diamond level, so he was like with other diamonds from other states and around, Latin America. They came to the Caribbean. They live in a resort that was exclusive. All the amenities, all the fun they were having. So he related us not even working. I mean, not even, he, the 9 to 5, how the 9 to 5 job has been like attacked, and that you're a slave. You should do the 9 to 5, 5 days a week for 40 years. That basically you're a slave, right? That you gave all your life to these companies, and this company will kick you out like nothing. After 30, 40 was nothing on your hands, and the whole thing. He made the story, attacking, and in a way he's right. In a way he was right with his speech, and he says no, no pressure, no, that he never had like a, that his life was total change. So you can be like me. He says that was the main piece, that anyone could, if I could have, I did this far in just a few years, like 5 6 years, I think. So you can do it too. He says that's, you can be you, meaning me and the rest of the people there, of course. And that the convincing thing is that we can't miss this opportunity. It was an opportunity here, like, okay, but I was busy with studies. I mean, at the college, and then I didn't have that. But once they started inviting, after a few 2 or 3 meetings that I already enrolled, I paid a little fee, a small fee, and I started ordering. I had to sign. Those days there was no online signing, of course. I had to sign a paper in which I did like an application, like give all my my names, everything, my biographical information, and how they can deliver the first shipments of items that I've been ordering like soaps, deodorant, I mean all, like washing, supplements, like a chocolate bar, you name it, and the whole thing that it wasn't big. It was like a little more than $100, but things that I could, instead of buying at the local place, he says, why not buying from your own business, right? I mean, and of course you're saving, because I was saving this, because I was making money off of what I was spending on my own. So wow, that makes sense too to me, right? Spending on my own from my own business, that makes sense, and it still makes sense if I have different business. But then I was invited to, now after a month or so, invited to the regional events in which I had to pay. Now, I had to pay more money, because I had to go to a regional event like 200 miles away, in which I had to pay my own ticket to, either a bus ticket or share with another person, with my upline maybe. Spend gas money, share expenses, food, lunch, dinner. I mean, the hotel. We would stay in a hotel with 2 more guys, but if your hotel was like $200 or $250 per room, divided by 3 for 2 or 3 days, that was expensive already. And then the daily expenses of that weekend. So I had to take a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and come Sunday night from that kind of meeting, regional meeting. So the expenses were already like $500, $400 to $500 expenses, just one weekend. And for a college student that like myself and others, of course, most college students, I mean, some of them, they don't even work. They are supported. They given by their parents. I mean, they have student loans. They have grants. Some of them, they have scholarships. So not every college student is like of course, a rich college student. They have plenty of money to. They even have new cars. I mean, given by their parents. I mean, but the rich kids, they can spare more money, of course, and they could really do something like that. I mean, and spend $500 in a week, and nothing happens really, and they can afford to do that. But once I started doing that, that can hit me, a little bit. The first time I did, but I said, well, I my excuse was that, well, I could, recover this money, these expenses, when my business, explodes. That was my dream. That why not? Maybe my dream, my business gonna explode. By that time, I have membership. I have even like a membership card with my name, with even a picture of me, that I could present myself. Even I did my business cards, with my number, my, little business card with my, that I was a business, the direct distributor of this company. I mean, these products, and just to, so I had to present to even total strangers, keep my business card and say, give me a call, maybe you might be interested in this business. So I was, very much outgoing to meet strangers at a bus stop, for instance. I was at a bus stop, at a train stop, anywhere. If I got a train, I had to take the train from one town to the next town. You know I can offer, because I was encouraged to do that, meet new people. That was, once you're listing of people you knew, there, that's it. I mean, you have, who are you going to invite? Even making cold calls, meaning that total strangers. But why not meeting people, a random meeting, random people at the supermarket, you are line. You go to the mall, people, you can, at the cafeteria. I met people at the cafeteria that, we started just a conversation about sports, or the college, or something about the university. And then suddenly, by the way, I would like to leave my car. Maybe you could be interested in this business. Can I have your number? Sometimes I got numbers like that. Then I call, and some people agree to go to the meeting, some not. But that was the way very much went. But as I look back, I said, wow, okay, well, as I retire, if you're in retirement, really, is this an option for you? I mean, that's one of the uh, issue that I wanted to convey. I mean, look, multi-level marketing is, of course, some people, it worked for some people. For some people, it doesn't work. I'm not saying it's totally bad. Some people are making some money. Some people see it as a too much absorbing, that it, separates you from your phone family, because it's encouraged that you only socialize, or with the people you are in business with. And that part, well, I didn't have that many social group that I was involved in that community, because I was living in the premises of I was at the college dormitory. So I was basically eating, I mean, having my studies there. All my life was around school, basically, at that moment, all those years. But so why? I mean, I didn't have nothing very much to lose, besides just like spending some little money to see how far this could go. But once all my expenses were increasing, I mean, doing, going to those regional events, which was once a month, and always was in the bigger city. It wasn't my local city there, was, in central region, but it was a bigger city on, getting farther. That was in Virginia, then it could be like in Washington D.C. There was one time in Richmond, and then it was farther away from where I was staying. So where I was, going to school. So my experience, being, I always look back. I said, look, in life, as we grow older, I mean, as we age, also as things go by, we try different avenue, different, or opportunities, as they call. I'm not saying that this was totally bad at that moment, but it was draining my finances. That's the whole bottom line. It was draining my finances, so I couldn't continue it. I mean, I had to, basically say, I stopped going to those regional events. When I missed for the first time the first regional event, my upline would say, "Oh, maybe that he implied to me that he would convey that maybe I was not interested, that I was gonna quit, or I was gonna, get off track of what the whole thing, business model was about." But he started contacting the people who I was, I got in contact with, which was okay to me. If some of my downlines, right, want to stay, I get them freedom. This is a free contact. I say, okay, sure. I mean, but then had to stop going to the meetings, and eventually I said, what I told him was that, look, I'm gonna, some of these pros I'm gonna continue as I was retiring. I mean, I was, making a distance with him and with the company, that I could still use some of the products. And says, sure, okay, if you want, that's fine. He says to me. He didn't put that much pressure to me about, why I was, he didn't even wasn't, like, feeling too bad about it. But he appreciated that there are so many people that I had in contact with, that those people were still interested. So I guess as the time went by, I was just consuming a few of the products that from the company, and then eventually. Those people that I did, bring to the business, I think they stayed and continue, with their career. Some of them were seniors already. They went home. I'm not sure if they continue or not. But After a while, of course, we lost contact. I mean, I started as I went to my junior year. I got busier. I couldn't, I couldn't be much in touch or have the time to talk to these, to the company, to the people involved in the company, in the community, or in that university. But anyway, so I wanted to relay this, in multi-level marketing, that for some people work, for some people doesn't work. Some people say this is like a, like a pyramid scheme. I didn't go that deeper. I don't want to say that I was years in there, that some people have bad experiences. I have seen, that what they when they tell the stories. But in my case, it was a few months, but I thought it was, that this could be helpful for anyone who wants to, like a little know a little more about multi-level marketing. Even those in a present time, I wouldn't really do it because I think, I have some more free time on my hands, of course, nowadays. But I would do something else instead, because of the time consuming, like I said, time consuming process that it takes, and of course, the isolation that can be from, friends and family sometimes, that you have to go and to these meetings or on regional meeting, and that everything surrounds around the business. So that's a little for me restricted, little for me, it sounds to me. So I didn't want to go that far. Well, it's open to anybody who, really wants to make a. Of course, you do your research. That's the best way to, if you want to go to this type of businesses. And I'm always researching different type of business, different type of marketing online. I haven't decided for one yet, but why not keep exploring, and I'll do myself, keep exploring to different opportunities online, in online marketing and otherwise. So thanks, guys, for this video watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and may God bless you all.